Bad Company 3. It's something that we all want, and I believe that one day we will get it. Maybe in 2 to 3 years from now, who knows at this point, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that maybe one day it'll happen. Bad Company 1 and 2 are absolute gems in the Battlefield series, and Bad Company 2 paved the way for a third game, so after 10 years it's no wonder why people are begging for a Bad Company 3. It's long overdue. Now, I don't know what DICE needs, I don't know what kind of manpower they require for a project like this, and I imagine that COVID-19 and other world issues have changed the way companies like EA and DICE operate, but Bad Company 3 would make them a lot of money and they have every reason to make it. Before I get too carried away though, I want to clarify that there aren't any new leaks about a Bad Company 3, and I'm not going to lie to you by saying that I know some development secret that nobody else does. I simply made this video to share my own idea for a Bad Company 3 plot and create a story for the campaign. I hope you enjoy it, and by all means, if you have any ideas of your own for a Bad Company 3 campaign, share them with everyone by commenting down below. Before I get started, I just want to say, if you like videos like these, consider subscribing, especially if you want to see more gaming related content on a variety of games. So I'm about to drop some spoilers for those of you who haven't yet beaten Bad Company 2, so if you continue watching, consider yourself warned. The story in Bad Company 2 started with a devastating superweapon being developed towards the end of World War II, and your squad was in charge of extracting a scientist off a Japanese island. You successfully board a submarine with the scientist, but the ship goes down after a massive blast from the island, and the mission then becomes shrouded in mystery. Then, time fast forwards to a more modern setting with Bad Company in Russia. You have the objective of securing a Russian superweapon, but when you secure the weapon, you discover that it was a fake. With new intel, your team must now locate a Russian colonel named Kirilenko who plans on rebuilding the superweapon so that Russia can use it to wipe out America's power grid, allowing for an easy invasion. The rest of the campaign is basically Bad Company trying to locate Kirilenko and the superweapon before it's too late. In the end, your squad boards a plane carrying the weapon, and you manage to kill Kirilenko and destroy the weapon before it's dropped in the southern United States. But when you land, a US general approaches you with the grim news that the Russians are now invading the US from Alaska. This is where the story for Bad Company 3 begins, and I've put a lot of thought into this story to make sure that everything makes sense and it's still exciting. To me, it only makes sense that Russia's invasion of America is now being done in the form of guerrilla warfare instead of a full-on assault, just because the superweapon that was supposed to wipe out America's power grid failed thanks to Bad Company. The new campaign begins with coverage of random bombings and attacks that are flooding American news networks. Bad Company is getting briefed by General Braidwood on where the next Russian attack will take place based on solid intel obtained by a new character in the series. I'm thinking that this new character could be a brilliant young woman who excels at hacking and using computer technology but acts like a total badass. Let's name her Rebecca for now. Rebecca doesn't take shit from anyone, and this would be a great opportunity to stay true to Bad Company's humorous and goofy atmosphere by having her and Haggard constantly bicker about something. Anyway, the intel you get sends Bad Company north to Seattle, where it is believed that Russian agents will be detonating a bomb within the city. You end up chasing down some suspicious individuals, but the bomb goes off before you can pinpoint its location. Surviving the blast, Bad Company interrogates one of the Russian survivors who is nearing death, and he reveals that all the attacks happening in America are part of a much bigger plan. He takes his last breath before you get anything more out of him, so you and the squad search the remaining Russians for intel. You send back an encrypted email that was found on one of the Russians' phones to Rebecca, but then the phone rings. When you pick it up, a strange Russian voice tells Bad Company that he will find them and he will finish what his father started. Bad Company realizes that the voice belongs to Kirilenko's son, and he is trying to finish his father's mission as well as get revenge on Bad Company for killing his father. Back with Braidwood and Rebecca, you discuss the intel that you found on the Russians and find out that the Russians are developing some strange electromagnetic technology. It appears that Russia's plan is still to destroy America's power grid by using this new technology. You then get informed that one of America's best scientists has just gone missing, and he has extensive knowledge about America's power grid. This is definitely the work of the Russians, and Bad Company must now race to save the scientist before the Russians can use him to figure out how to destroy the power grid. Right here is a good opportunity to travel to Alaska or something just to change the scenery of the game, and it will allow for some action-packed missions if the scientist is being held in a highly guarded Russian-controlled compound. Bad Company fights their way to the scientist, but when they find him, they find out that he already told the Russians what they wanted to know and was tortured until he helped them work out some flaws in their EMP weapon. The Russians now have a fully developed weapon, and they know the locations of America's main power stations. They plan to use these devices on all the major power stations around America, which will cause a widespread state of anarchy and ruin the country. Before the scientist can reveal any more, Kirilenko's son enters the room with a group of armed Russians and shoots the scientist dead. Bad Company is forced to surrender their weapons, and this is where we meet Kirilenko's son, the main antagonist. He tells them about his father and what a strong man he was, and then asks which member of Bad Company killed him. After some silence, Marlowe, the player-controlled character, speaks up about shooting Kirilenko while falling from the plane in Bad Company 2. Kirilenko chuckles and points his pistol at Marlowe, but right as he pulls the trigger, Sarge jumps in the way, sacrificing his life to save Marlowe's. Kirilenko explains that Marlowe should have taken the bullet, but it makes no difference. He instructs his soldiers to seal the room and gas Bad Company as he believes that they are not worth wasting any more bullets on. This powerful scene will create lots of hatred towards Kirilenko's son, and losing Sarge will be devastating to Bad Company, especially Haggard, who thinks back to when Sarge saved him from stepping on a mine in Russia during Bad Company 2. As gas fills the room, Clearwater manages to break open one of the door's wiring panels and cuts the wire that unlocks the door. Marlowe tries to drag Sarge's body out of the room, but Haggard and Clearwater have to grab Marlowe before he too falls victim to the gas. Angry and frustrated, Bad Company makes their way to the evac point and now wants to stop Kirilenko's son more than ever. With the Russians' plan revealed, Bad Company must figure out which power stations will be targeted first and how many of the EMP bombs the Russians are in possession of. Rebecca finds a Russian general's location and he becomes Bad Company's main target. From here, the next mission or two could take place anywhere, and there are lots of opportunities for more of that Bad Company action we all know and love. When you find the Russian general, Bad Company also finds 2 of the EMP bombs, which are heavy and must be transported using trucks. General Braidwood instructs you to bring them back to be destroyed, but Bad Company thinks that the bombs should be destroyed on site. Reluctantly, you bring back the EMP devices after an action-packed chase, and Braidwood now wants you to track down Kirilenko's son and the remaining EMP devices. From here, let's say that the Russians have an operating camp somewhere in the Nevada desert and are planning to launch an attack on Las Vegas. This gives the perfect opportunity to throw in an action-packed mission where Bad Company is operating a tank and has to destroy the entire outpost. The climax of the story will happen when Bad Company receives good intel on Kirilenko's location, and when they reach him, the final EMP device goes off, knocking out a chunk of America's power grid. Being in the affected zone, Bad Company must reach Kirilenko amid widespread chaos and panic. Once you find Kirilenko, that battle has to be epic and emotional in order to avenge Sergeant Redford's death, and when you kill Kirilenko, the campaign feels like it's coming to an end. But there's a plot twist, and this is what I had in mind. Bad Company notices that they aren't receiving intel from Rebecca anymore, and this is odd because she's been communicating with the squad the entire time. Confused and worried, they investigate the matter and notice that Braidwood is acting strange and avoiding Bad Company. This is where Bad Company kind of goes rogue because they don't trust Braidwood anymore. This gives the perfect opportunity to introduce some stealth missions as Bad Company sneaks around a US military base in search of Rebecca. Within the base, they find Rebecca being held against her will, and when they get to her, she reveals that Braidwood plans on using the seized EMP devices on Russia, and he wanted the last EMP to go off just to witness its effect. If Braidwood succeeds in detonating the remaining EMP devices in Russia, it'll cause a full-blown World War III, and Bad Company has to prevent this from happening. After escaping the military base with Rebecca, Bad Company rises to the top of the most wanted list, and they can't trust anyone anymore. They find a safe place to track down the EMP devices, and Rebecca finally hacks into some surveillance drones. They show the devices being loaded into a cargo plane, and Bad Company loses all hope. There's just no way that they can reach the plane in time to stop it, and even if they did, they would be apprehended at the airstrip by Braidwood immediately. The only way to stop this plane from reaching Russian soil would be to somehow destroy it over the ocean. Then a cutscene will play where Haggard or Sweetwater say the only way we could stop that plane is if we flew after it, and we don't know any pilots we can trust. Rebecca then responds with, I know of one pilot you guys can trust, and boom! Out walks Flynn, the pilot who was shot down by an RPG while trying to protect the boys in Bad Company 2. This would be the most epic reunion in any video game to date, and it would blow people's minds. Flynn lost both legs in the helicopter crash, but now has 2 robotic legs instead, and he explains that he's still a pacifist like he was in Bad Company 2. Haggard can't believe his eyes and calls Flynn a silly goddamn muffin-headed fucking liberal, and those who played Bad Company 2 will understand this reference. With Flynn, Bad Company then proceeds to steal a plane and catch up to the cargo plane carrying the EMP device. With some sort of high-tech rappelling device, Bad Company drops onto the cargo plane and gets inside. Together, you find the EMP devices and are forced to fight American soldiers in order to resist arrest. You have no choice but to open the cargo hatch and drop the EMP devices into the ocean, but when they hit the water, the devices detonate and the plane loses all control and electronics. Bad Company jumps from the plane in an action-packed scene and eventually lands on the coast where Flynn meets up with them. The final cutscene shows Bad Company and Flynn celebrating over preventing a war and talking about how they now have to live as outcasts. They hope that Rebecca can find proof and expose Braidwood for almost causing World War III, and this is where the story of Bad Company 3 will end. And there it is, my own take on what the story could possibly be if EA decides to make a Bad Company 3. Let me know what you think, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to my channel for more gaming related videos like this one. Feel free to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, I'll throw those links in the description, and please share this video with any Bad Company fans you may know. I want feedback on this story of mine, and I love reading what other people think Bad Company 3 should be. But on that note, I'm gonna end the video here, so if you've stuck around this long, thank you so much for watching. I had a blast coming up with this plot, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I wish you an awesome day, but if you are subscribed, I will see you in the next video. Peace out, Battlefield fans.